From a boy's dream to a world leader in breeding rare and endangered species, Tanganyika Wildlife Park owner Jim Fouts' journey started with a simple zoo guidebook given to him by his father. Fascinated by animals, it wasn't too long before Jim found himself a job as a keeper for Sedgwick County Zoo in 1972. Although he started as a glorified farmer, babysitting goats and cows, eventually his hard work paid off as he became the first elephant keeper at Sedgwick County Zoo. But being a keeper wasn't enough. Jim dreamed of more. He wanted his own collection of animals. So that's exactly what he did. His first collection was birds, because let's be honest, it's easier than starting with rhinos. That doesn't mean it was an easy road, though. With his bags packed and ready to build his collection, Jim found himself in Bolivia, learning the importing process while searching for rare species of birds. Eventually, with South America conquered, Jim set his sights on Africa. No partner to support him, no team, or even experience in this continent, Africa wouldn't be as easy as South America. Kenya was economically depressed, and exporting of birds had been banned for years. This wouldn't stop Jim. He built a team by recruiting older natives that had captured birds before the exporting was banned. He convinced the ministers to allow exporting despite the economic benefits. On his third attempt, he was finally able to export birds from Africa to the US, the first to do so in years. Following his success in Africa, Jim and his wife Sherry decided to take a leap of faith, and they bought a USDA quarantine facility in California.
Now, my parents, Jim and Sherry, knew they were onto something really great. At this point, Jim was gone about 300 days of the year, going around the world finding birds to import into the United States. Meanwhile, my mom Sherry was at home taking care of 100,000 birds in the quarantine facility, an incredibly cute 2-year-old little boy, and having to commute more than 2 hours to and from the facility every day. So she had her hands full, but she knew it would be necessary to fulfill their dream. Within 10 years, Jim became the go-to person for birds. Zoos from all over the country, San Diego, the Bronx, Cincinnati, they were all ordering birds from Jim. So Jim's dream was to build a world-class breeding facility right here in the United States. He shared his vision with one of his customers who was interested in being a financial investor in the project. With the new investor, Jim spent the next year going around the world putting together this amazing collection of birds that they could breed right there in San Diego. Little did he know that this partner would be a huge setback for him and his dream of building a world-class breeding facility. Once he got the facility put together, his partner took it. He forced them into bankruptcy, and they lost their quarantine facility, they lost all their birds, they were forced to move back to Wichita with less than $1,000 cash and a few plants. That setback wouldn't stop Jim and Sherry from achieving their dreams. They didn't have a lot of money or resources, but they did have something others did not: experience and a worldwide network of contacts. That's what happens when you're the go-to bird importer for several years.
In 1985, they were gifted a 5-acre plot and built their first barn, which became the home of what we now know as Tanganyika. With Jim's experience and newfound home, he soon became known as the matchmaker for zoos across the US. But Jim still wanted more. He wanted to start his own collection of animals. So that's exactly what he did. In 1987, he built a second building for tigers and acquired a white female tiger named Shubra and a male tiger named Benny, who was, by the way, the last living mascot for the Cincinnati Bengals football team. 2 years later, Benny and Shubra had their first pair of kittens. This was a momentous milestone, as it established Tanganyika as a breeding facility for endangered species, which to this day has been a pivotal moment for all zoos around the world. By 1994, Jim and Sherry had added another new addition to the barn, making them one of the first private facilities in the country to house giraffes. And today, they have one of the largest herds in the US. Eventually, Tanganyika gained an additional 70 acres, 3 new barns, and grew their collection to over 150 animals. Jim and Sherry were well on their way to becoming a world-class breeding facility. And had you asked if they would open to the public and become a zoo, Jim would have said, "Over my dead body." However, in 2000, everything changed. The turn of the century brought change to the Fouts family as they started offering private group tours. These one-hour guided tours through the breeding facility gave people the opportunity to see 7 different species of animals and included an opportunity to feed lemurs and giraffe. It was those feeding stations where the park realized the importance of connections. Connections between people and the natural world. In 2004, the Fouts family faced a significant challenge with more than 4,000 people touring their backyard without sufficient amenities such as sidewalks, restrooms, or even a parking lot to support all those people. In that same year, Jim and Sherry's son, Matt, got married, and he decided to travel around the world for their honeymoon.
So while my wife and I were on our honeymoon, one of the places we visited was Australia. And in Queensland, they had a little zoo there that we stopped at just to check out. And I was just amazed at how this was set up. It was a smaller park, and they kind of had these tours and programs set up, so as you went around the park, you almost got like a guided tour of the facility, but in between them, you could kind of see things on your own. And I just thought, what an amazing way to showcase a facility. And that's when I decided this is what we need to do at Tanganyika. If we're going to grow these backyard tours into something, this is the model I want.
With a newly ignited passion, Matt worked with his parents to build a brand new wildlife park from the ground up. That's right, they didn't buy a zoo, they built one. On August 2nd, 2008, Tanganyika Wildlife Park officially opened with 15 exhibits and 3 interactive areas.
As of 2021, we have the 3rd largest collection with over 500 animals. We've been nationally recognized by multiple publications as the most interactive zoo in the Midwest, with 9 feeding stations and dozens of unique animal experiences. Our family-owned facility, right here in Goddard, continues to be a world leader in breeding rare and endangered species, with over 43 successful breeding programs. Nearly every year, we raise more rare and endangered cats than any other facility in the world, and we have single-handedly increased the worldwide population of clouded leopards by more than 20%. In addition, we've raised over 65 giraffe and hundreds of other rare and endangered species.
The Fouts family has built one of the largest family-owned zoos in the country from nothing. They didn't receive any government funds or grants to build it. They did it with hard work, dedication, and passion to be stewards for animals in their care and in the wild. And they did it with the support of visitors like you.
Can't stop me now.